Hi everybody, it's Erin the Hiking Stitcher, and this is Flosstube number 14, I believe. Today is April 1st, 2025. It is April Fool's Day, although I can promise you that everything you see here is not a joke. Today I wanted to go over everything that I've done in March as far as stitching goes, and it's quite a lot actually. So I have a lot of haul. I had a couple of new starts, I had a finish, and I had quite a few whips. So let's just jump right into it. So first thing I want to go over is all of the things that I got. So I had quite a bit of haul between Nashville Market, between going to Woodlawn, and new stitch alongs coming out. Yeah, I got a lot. So let's talk Woodlawn first, okay? For those of you who don't know, Woodlawn is a needlework expo that takes place in Alexandria, Virginia, just near Mount Vernon. And it's been going on for over 50 years. And so it is the largest needlework competition in the country. So Woodlawn is an old house. I don't remember all the history of it. I do know that there's a connection to George Washington. And every room is filled with different stitching. Sorry, delete that. Every room is filled with so many amazing pieces in needlepoint, in embroidery, in cross stitch. And I just had an amazing time there. I went because a friend of mine, Nancy Ann, entered her Fox in Woodlawn and it won Best in Show. So I had to go see it. And now I am insanely inspired and I will have a piece in Woodlawn next year. I can guarantee that. I don't know what yet, but I will. So I went there, and of course, being a needlepoint expo or needlework expo, there were things to buy. So the first thing I got was at Woodlawn itself. So this is the National Trust for Historic Preservation sampler, and it came fully kitted up. So I've got all the DMC and I got the, so this is the National Trust counted cross-stitch chart. So it has all these houses that are on the National Historic Trust. So that includes the Woodlawn House, the Pope Leahy House, Montpelier, and many, many other houses. So this was a kit that I grabbed that I don't know when I'll start, but I'll start at some point. Just stick that away. And then I got coupons for the local cross-stitch shop because I went to Woodlawn. So of course I had to splurge a bit. So I was able to find these two pieces from Rebel Stitcher Design from Nashville. So the first piece is Disagree, and this is actually going to be one of my new starts in April because Colleen from Rebel Stitcher Designs and many other of us, we're all doing this as a stitch along. So I still need to find the fabric that I like and pick out some floss, but this will be a design that I start in April. And then the other piece I saw from Rebel Stitcher was this dog. So let me make sure you guys can see that. So this one I thought was absolutely cute, and it is so true. You know, I don't trust anybody who doesn't like dogs, and I certainly would believe a dog if they didn't like a human. So this is one, I don't know when I'm going to stitch it, but I'm so glad I have it. And then I thought I'd made it out of there, thought everything was good. And then I saw this little guy, the Yeti Globe, and it comes fully kitted up with all of the fabric and the floss that you need. So this little guy is my little Yeti. So this will be one of my mania starts, I think. And then I also decided to jump down the rabbit hole of Anchor Black. So a lot of people have told me that they prefer Anchor Black over DMC Black. So I grabbed some skeins, so I will let you know how that works out. So I'm looking through, I believe that's all the stuff I got related to Woodlawn. And then on top of that, I got my first ever snail mail kit from the Black Needle Society. So they are starting a new subscription series with their snail collection. So it came with the pattern, which I will put here, or the design. And then it even comes with all the floss. So this is all of, believe it's Classic Colorworks floss that goes along with this month's snail pattern. So this is another one that I just need to go find some fabric for, and this will be a mania start, if not sooner. And it comes in this very adorable envelope. And let's see. And also, you all know that Joann's is closing. And so I have been popping in and out of my local Joann's pretty much 3, 4, 5 times this month. And I've stocked up quite a bit on floss. So I'm not going to show you all the floss I got. But I also found this for sale. And I immediately wanted to grab this for these Emma Congdon pieces. So this is the World of Cross Stitching. I believe it is the November issue. Can't quite say. I believe this was their November issue, but I am just interested in all these Emma Congdon patterns. This is absolutely adorable, and I cannot wait to kit these up and get them started. And she seems to be doing it as a calendar, so I need to open it up and go through it a little bit. But I can't wait to try that. And so these are some of the other patterns that are in this issue. I'm usually not a big paper cross-stitch magazine purchaser, but when you need to support a business going out of business and there's sales and there's Emma Congdon patterns in it, you get it. So I grabbed that. And then let's see, what else? So 2 more pieces of haul. Told you I was busy this month. I completely blew my budget out of the water. I also signed up for the Extraordinary Bird Stitch Along from Lola Crow. And so I grabbed the fabric for it. So this is from Zweigart. This is a 32 count Lugana for Stormy Night. So this is going to be my fabric for the stitch along. And I've started gathering the floss. So the stitch along starts this Friday, actually. So I will be starting this at Steel City Stitchers along with countless other stitchers. And as with every other stitch along that I've started, I have no grand delusions that I will actually finish it on time, but I'm glad to be starting it with everybody. So that is the fabric for the Extraordinary Bird Stitch Along. And the final piece of haul is actually a project bag. And I normally don't buy these, but when my friend Lynn of Lynn X Stitches Creates on Flosstube and on Instagram decided that she was going to do a limited edition run of this, I grabbed it right away. And so this is actually going to be the bag that Disagree is going to live in, because it is a Ruth Bader Ginsburg bag. So she released this on Ruth Bader Ginsburg's birthday. And so the quote there is a quote that I try to live my life by. And then on the back, it's just all Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So this is absolutely going to be my new, I guess you could say my new activism, cross-stitchivism, whatever you want to call it. So in there will live Disagree and any other political cross-stitch that I have. So that was all of my haul. Wow. And you think that I'd be giving up on spending for the month of April? No, because I am going to Steel City Stitchers and I will be certainly buying quite a bit there. There we go. Scooch a little bit there. All right, so let's jump into my whips. So in February, why am I thinking February? April. So in April, I stitched on 18 projects total. I had 3 new starts and 1 finished for now. So let me start off with 2 of my starts. So the first piece that I started is the retreat piece for Steel City Stitchers. So I started this on March 10th, and it is called Big Dill from Hands On Design. So here is how far I've gotten on it. And I'm actually almost done with it already because this is only like 1,800 stitches. So this is the retreat piece. So my goal is to have this finished before this Friday. And then at the retreat, there is a finishing class. So I'm hoping that next month I will have my very first ever FFO that is not something in a frame. So this is on just a 14 count Aida that I had in stash along with the called for DMC. And I really, really like this. So I just need to finish off the dill pickle and then do some back stitching. So like the terrible towel will have some stuff here. The flowers are going to have some back stitching in them. So overall, this was start number one. It was almost the start and finish, but not quite. So this one total got 1,576 stitches in out of approximately 1,800 stitches. So just a couple more days on this and this will be done. And then the next piece that I started, because I need another stitch along like I need a hole in the head. But when Forbidden Fiber Co. put out their 4th wing stitch along, I said, yep, you got me. Here, take my money. Just take my money. So I believe she's up to like part 5 released, but because of everything else that I'm stitching, I'm not even done with part 1 yet. So this kit came fully kitted with Forbidden Fiber Co. Fabric, and I believe it is, let me see here, got everything, as you can see it laying there. So this is called Feather Tail. This is 18 count Aida. The colorway is called Feather Tail, and it came with all Forbidden Fiber Co. floss, so you can kind of see the palette there. And here's how far I've gotten. I've gotten all of part 1, not even all the way done. So this is one of the quotes from 4th Wing. It is probably the quote that made me laugh the most when I first read it, and then I realized what it meant, and I went, oh. So once I'm done with that, there will be some dragons up here. There's going to be the college crest and some other really cool motifs. So I believe there's 1 more release, 2 more releases after that. And so that'll get done eventually. But I did get it started. And so in that, I put in 573 stitches total for the month of March. Stick that back in this bag because I need to find a project bag for it. And my last start, I'm actually going to hold off and show you when I talk about my March Madness attempt, because it was started for Madness. So that's going to be in there. And it really wasn't much in the way of a start anyway, but still a start is a start. So moving on to finishes, I had 1 finish for now. The entire project's not finished, but there is a finish related to it. So this is Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow. So let me show you what that would look like total. So Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow is from Carriage House Samplings. And I am doing this in the DMC conversion, not the NPI silks. And I am debating on eliminating these bottom 3 blocks and just doing the top 9. So that's a decision that I guess I'll make when I get there. So my process with this is to take each block and divide it into quarters, give or take. So taking that, going like that, and then stitching 25% of the block every month. I have charted all of these into Pattern Keeper, so rather than going just an arbitrary line across, I will do 25%. So I started this in December, and at the beginning of March, I had about 75% of it done. So here's what it looked like at the beginning of March. And then I am proud to say I have kept up with my plan and I have finished block 1. So this is block 1 of Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow. And this, I loved every single stitch of it. Every single stitch. So in April, I will move over here and I will start block 2. Sorry about that. I had to go put the vacuum away. So once again, let me show you my finish because I wasn't sure how much you heard. So this is block 1 at Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow using the DMC conversion on, I believe it's a 32 count Lugana. And I'm loving this. Absolutely amazing. So I stitch on this on the 12th or 13th of every month, and then again on the 25th because it is Christmas. So I try to get 2 days a month on this. And so the goal in April will be to get to 25% of block 2. So that was my start and finish. So talking about the rest of my whips, as always, I bite off way more than I can chew. So I originally had a March Madness bracket going. And so my plan was to pull all of the projects that I had that had approximately 3,000 stitches or less left to go to finish. And I was going to pit them against each other and come out with a winner. Well, I had a whole bracket planned, as you can see here. And the reality of it is that I did not succeed in completing even the first round. So let me show you what I was able to accomplish, and then I'll show you what project was technically declared the winner. So first up was Christmas Cardinal from Stony Creek. And this is the only mini that I have in my collection. I believe this is less than 1,000 stitches total. And so this obviously qualified for my March Madness. So I started off thinking that I was going to get a lot of this done. And then the goal is to spend an hour on each project. So I took this on a road trip and I did not do so hot. So here's where I was when I started. And in the hour that I stitched on it, here's where I got. And I managed to put in a whopping 68 stitches. So I was able to do some filling in of the bird. So eventually what this will be is this will kind of look like that. And so this is stitched on, I believe, a 14 count piece of like night sky, something along the lines like that from Be Stitch Me. I believe this is some extra Be Stitch Me fabric. So I was using the called for DMC, and eventually it will make a cute little ornament or pillow for my tree. So that one, 68 stitches. Okay, made a little good faith attempt there. So then a couple days later, I said, okay, it's time to pull out my next project. So this is my other new start. So this is October from the Black Needle Society. This is part of their Celebrate All Year Stitch Along that came in the Nice List box, not last year, but 2023. And I started this and I kept up with it until about March. And so each month there is a different pattern release based on the national month. So I finally was able to start October. Now October is National Dessert Month. So I was super excited to sit down and get some stitches into this. And this went on to the next round theoretically, because I got 82 stitches. So this beat out Christmas Cardinal. So here is where I'm at. As you can tell, not much of a start, less than 100 stitches, but a start is a start is a start. I'm pretty sure this is the way I don't even know if I'm holding it up right. So this is supposed to be like a cake. So maybe it goes like that. Yeah, yeah, there we go. So maybe we'll try it that way. So this is supposed to be like a cake. Oh no. But 82 stitches on it to start. Not bad. All right, so if I went to the next round, this would have been the one that won. So then a few days later, I pulled out Live Simply. And this was a kit that I found at Joann's years ago. And I started this last year for Mania. And it's once I got it charted into Pattern Keeper, it's pretty easy. So this is what the finished piece will look like. Get the glare out of there. And here's where I was at the beginning of March. And here is where I'm at now. There we go. So in March, for my 1 hour of stitching, I was able to put 233 stitches in, mostly this border. So I got a lot of this border done. And so this is going to be an easy finish once it is officially called for me for Whip Go. So this was Live Simply. So 244 so far, that took the lead. Or sorry, I'm sorry, wait. 233. So far, that took the lead. And then I had a chance to pull out the final project that I ended up working on. So out of all these projects, I ended up only working on 4. So putting that one away. So then the piece that I put head to head with Live Simply was Pretty Little London. So Pretty Little London is from Satsuma Street. And I started this back in September when I went to London. And I stitched on this while I was in London. I stitched on this when I was on the Queen Mary 2. And I was hoping that I would have the whole thing finished. But of course I didn't. And then it's just kind of languished. So this was a perfect excuse to pull this out because I don't have that much left on it. So here is where I was when I started this in March. And here is where I'm at now. Now, it may be hard to see any progress because I finished up the white, the 3865. So let me set it here. So there's some white in the ridges. I put the white in, started to put the white in the buses. Put the white in the Elizabeth Tower, not Big Ben, Elizabeth Tower. So I finished off the white on that one. So this is now down to just a handful of color completions. So this will get finished. So this one, so this project here was my March Madness winner because I put in 244 stitches on this in an hour. So I'm happy with that. Sad that I didn't get a chance to touch as many of my other pieces as I wanted to, but progress is progress. So even if you just put one stitch in, you have made progress on a project. And I always bite off more than I can chew. So I always set these, I've noticed my my theme this year is to set lofty goals and then not meet any of them because I'm trying to do too much. But I don't know how to back off. So that was that. So then let me show you my Whip Go progress. So I have 3 Whip Go boards. So that means that each month I have 6 projects that get called for Whip Go. So one project I'm not even going to show you. I pulled it out and I realized I did not like it. It was one of my very first cross-stitch projects that I still had with me and realized, no, I'm just going to go ahead and UFO it. So that made life easy. So that was from one of my Whip of Shame Whip Go boards. The other Whip of Shame that I worked on was my birth sampler for my nephew Callan. And that is by Lindy Stitches. It's Welcome Little Stranger. And this piece, because I've been trying to do a color conversion on it, it's just been dragging. So at the beginning of March, here's where I was. And now, here's where I'm at. So I was able to finish off the second bird. I finished off the balloons. And so I almost considered this done. Almost. But down here, I still have to personalize his name and birthday. And at first, I was thinking, oh, I'll just be done with this. But in all honesty, for all my other nephews and nieces, I have personalized it some way. So over here, so down here, I just need to chart it in to chart his name and his birthday. And then I will be done. I'm choosing not to do the border. It was just crazy enough to figure out the color conversion for this, let alone an entire border. So I've discovered with this piece that I do pretty well with whatever the pattern gives me. So if the pattern gives me, these are the colors, I do good. But the thought of changing colors stresses me out. So I'm really happy with how this color conversion has turned out. But the mental anguish of getting this far killed me. So I just said, so once I finish his name, and this will be done. So this should be a finish hopefully in the next couple months. It's going to take a pause in April because this was not called for WIPGO actually. So I am going to pause on this and work on some other things, but this will come out again very soon. So this is Welcome Little Stranger from Lindy Stitches. So I didn't quite hit the goals I wanted on that, but I did hit a stopping point, so I'll take it. So then my other WIPGO board is just more recent starts. So on that, I had 2 projects that got picked. So the first project is Naughty List from Silver Creek Samplers. Silver Creek. This was in the Nice List box from the Black Needle Society this past year, and it came fully kitted up, and I absolutely love it. My goal on this piece was to hit 500 stitches, I believe. 700? No, 500 stitches on this. And I did not make that goal. So here's where I was at the beginning of March, though. And here is where I'm at now. So let me kind of zoom in a little bit here so you can see. So I was able to get in some more of the red, and I started more of the wording. Problem is on the camera here, it doesn't show up quite as nicely. Even if I try to put some, let me see if I can just try this, see how that works. See if that helps with the lighting so you can see just how blue the fabric is. So I've been working on this in fits and starts, so this will be something I could eventually just sit and fill in. So I did not get my goal on this, but I did get 347 stitches in on it, which I suppose is better than nothing. But, you know, when your goal is to get 10% of the project done and you don't get it, kind of sucks. So I just need to reevaluate some goals. But nevertheless, I did get some work in on it. So then the other piece that was on my newer Start WIPGO board was FAFO, as I write it down, FAFO, which stands for Fuck Around and Find Out. So this was a project that I started for Frogwarts last year because one of the prompts was a project with a curse word. And so my goal for this one was to literally finish a couple words or get like 350 stitches in. Didn't make it that big of a goal. But I only really ended up sitting down and working on it one day in the month. So here is where I was at the beginning of March on this project. And here is where I'm at now. So it just looks like und and find out. So I did finish, I believe, I got this part because I know I was down here last time. So this is a project that, again, it's not my favorite, but I like the sentiment. And so this is one that will come around again for sure. I don't know if it's going to come around again this year. It's definitely not going to come around again for a WIPGO call, but that doesn't mean that I won't just pull it out for something else I need. So that was Fuck Around and Find Out. So no goals met on that one. Then my last WIPGO board is my full coverage WIPGO board. And this one I tend to have a little bit more success with. My goal is to, up like 1%, 10%, something for each project. So I worked on 2 projects this month, both of them Heaven and Earth designs. And actually it's a husband and wife team. So I'll pull out the first one. The first one is one that I started last May, and this is the Traveler's Window. And the artist from this one is Lars Stewart. So this is what it will look like when it's fully finished, whenever that is. And then I worked on this last month as well. So here's where I was at the beginning of March. And my goal on this piece was to put 3,500 stitches in on it. And I did not quite meet that. I think I made it to about 3,000. But still in all, I did finish a page. So I am happy with this. So here is where I'm at now. So if you zoom out, I finished the jacket, which was my major goal. Is I wanted to finish this jacket. And so the page finish is right here. So I just had a little bit to go down because I just wanted to get that jacket done. So now, if you zoom in, you can see there's the trunk, there's the jacket hanging over the rail, and then we're starting to, down here is where the seat back will be. So when I pick this up again, instead of going down, I'm going to move over. So I'm going to start taking it down and go down this way. So this one is an absolute joy to stitch on. This one is that I just focus on one motif. So I said if I just got that jacket done, I would be happy. So the fact that I got the jacket done, the page finish, I'm still satisfied, even though I did not hit my target goal of 3,500 stitches on this month. Not bad at all. So that is stitched 2/1 full cross on 25 count easy grid Lugana. And so I actually got on that one, let me look at my notes here, 3,000 stitches. So about 500 off, not the end of the world. So I just actually tacked those 500 stitches onto another Whip Go goal. So that'll come around at least once more. And so instead of 3,500, I'm going to see if I can hit 4,000. So that way, overall for the year, I will hit my yearly goal that I made on that. So then, my other full coverage piece for Whip Go was a Stitch in Time by Amy Stewart. And this is my regular size, regular colors version. There's no max color, it's 88 colors on 25 count easy grid Lugana. And this piece was my pandemic piece. This is the piece I started back in April 2020, back when, you know, everything was going crazy and I just needed something. So this is where I was when I picked this up again at the beginning of March. And let me just adjust myself here. And here is, excuse the hanging threads because it is what it is. Here is where I'm at now. So I'm going to zoom in there a little bit so you can see. So I was able to bring this section down so you can start to see the lady who's reading a book under the tree. And then I started bringing down more of this book. So my goal for this piece for the month was 4,500 stitches because this is one of my older Heaven and Earth and I wanted to get more progress in on it. But that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So over this month, I got 3,685 stitches in on it, which again, not bad, not bad. I dearly, dearly love this piece. And it kills me that I was able to get the first row done in like 2 years. And now it's taken me a year to get this far. So this is one that is definitely going to get some more love. She's going to come out at least twice more this year. So hopefully I'll be able to get, my goal is to get the rest of this done and keep moving over because I'm doing this one season by season. So because I have it out, I'll show you. So I have the whole thing. So I have the first whole row down. The first row is the spring shelf. And make sure, and now I'm working on the summer shelf. So that is my progress since April of 2020, but this is where I'm really focusing my time. So that was my April Whip Go work. And I said I tend to be more successful with the full coverages because that's what I tend to stitch a lot more of. So I end up working on those in the evenings. So Whip Go overall was a mixed bag. I did not meet any of my goals, but I did make good progress. So we'll call it a win. I am looking at my boards for going forward just because I'm seeing that I'm not making a lot of my goals. And so I'm adjusting. So like Jessie says, it's my board, my rules. So we'll see how that goes out. So the last thing I want to go through is the stuff that I consider like my weekly or my daily stitching. So these are the pieces that I'm stitching on. There's either at least one day a week that I work on it or a small goal every single day. So these are not Whip Go calls, but they are usually stitch alongs. This is where I can get that fit in. So the first piece is a stitch along that I am very behind on. I actually barely worked on this at all in March and I can't believe it. So this is the Peppermint Purple stitch along for this year. So they do a free black work stitch along, and I started off hot and going. I mean, I kept up with it for the first 6 weeks of the year. And then life gets in the way and I find other stitch alongs, and I am very, very behind. So this is where I was when I started the month of March. And here is where I'm at now. I did not get any of the blocks filled in, but I have gotten more of the blocks outlined. So I think that's going to be my main focus, is at least getting the blocks outlined, and then I'll go back and catch them up. So this is on black 16 count, I believe, 16 count Aida. And the silver is Silver Krynic number 1. And then I'm using Bradley's balloons for the fill-in. So this is going to be gorgeous and so much fun, and it's easy to do. I just fell behind. So I'm hoping that maybe in April, I could get a little bit caught up on this, or at the very least keep working through the outlines and then just get caught up on the fill-in. So as long as I have it done by the end of the year, that's still my long-term goal. But when you break it down to what you need to do each day or each week, I am so far behind. But nevertheless, I did get some progress. So putting that one away for now. So then the other piece that I tend to work on every day is 324 and 324, the sequel, both by Works by ABC. And I started 324, the original, back in May last year for Mania, and I started 324, the sequel, on January 1st this year. I was inspired to do this because my Flosstube friends, Liz from Stitch by Liz and Chloe from Miss Chloe, were doing this one motif a day. And so let's try to keep up on it. So let's start with 324, the original. This one, I'm stitching them both on a 16 count white Aida using the called for DMC colors. And so here's where I was on this piece at the beginning of March. And here is where I'm at now. So in March, I was able to finish up these 2 diagonals right here. And then I started the last one. So now I've gone all the way over. So this top row is 100% complete all the way across. So now I know I've got the right size fabric to go all the way across on this. So I'm finishing up the blues. And so in April, I should be getting into some of the greens. So I'm looking forward to that very much. So that's 324, the original. And that one's going to be done before this one, simply because I started that one earlier. And then I have 324, the sequel. So this, again, uses 324 DMC colors, but instead of doing a cross-stitch pattern, it's a different, like, black work, needlepoint, embroidery. It's a different stitch every day. And so each stitch will get repeated about 3 or 4 times total. And I'm actually really, really, really loving this. So here is where I was on the sequel at the beginning of March. And here is where I'm at today. So in March, I have been working down here. I'm now into some blues, into some greens. I am working on this a page at a time. So I'm not doing it in the same direction that I'm doing 324. So let me kind of fold it down here and zoom in a little bit on what I have done. So this is the new stuff I've got done. And I'm loving all these stitches. These stitches don't take very long to stitch at all. I want to say, like, I feel like this one right here, this basket weave, is one of my favorites. And these are like some of my favorite colors. So this is turning out gorgeous. I'm keeping up with it. So every morning, usually the first thing as I stitch is I'll stitch a motif in this, a motif in 324, and call it a day on those. If I miss a day, then the next day I try to make it up. But my life has just been so busy. Like last week, I spent one day doing the entire week's worth of stuff because I just didn't have the time. So anyhow, though, I am keeping up overall, even if I'm not doing the one motif a day like I wanted to. It's still, again, progress. And so the last piece, nope, I get 2 more pieces, 3 more pieces. Ha, 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 ha. I lied, 3. So let's start with this one. So this is a piece I actually had to put on hold. So it lives in this pretty Jane Eyre project bag from the Black Needle Society, because this is Society Stitcher from the Black Needle Society. And this is a free pattern on their Facebook group. And I started this in January with Keisha and Laura of the Black Needle Society. They are doing a 25 stitches a day on it. And so I tried that for like 2 days and said, no, I need to at least finish a strand. So I had been doing a strand a day. And so I had kept up on that until about the first week in March when I said, okay, I need to put this away because I need to finish the piece for Steel City Stitchers. So once that piece is done this week, I'm going to be coming back to this. So I didn't get a whole lot done in March on this one, but here's where I was at the beginning of the month. And here is where I'm at now. I put in 243 stitches. So now the entire thing is outlined, which makes me very happy. I have at least 1 strand of every color in the design in the project. And now it's just a lot of fill in. So I just need to continue the teacup and then I'll fill in. So I will pick this back up doing a strand a day with it. I would say probably next week. And we'll see if I can catch up to where Keisha and Laura are now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, but again, progress is progress. So this is one that, again, I pull out and I just do a strand a day and then toss it aside. Strand a day, toss it aside. So most of the time, that's like 40 stitches. Not a whole lot. So then the next piece is my temperature chart. And this piece I absolutely love, but it's so easy to fall behind on. So this is Local Conditions from Satsuma Street. This was in the November box from last year, the Nature and Elements box from Black Needle Society. And this is the first time Satsuma Street has ever done a temperature chart. And I honestly don't even know if this has been released to the general public yet. So I have been really good about keeping up with the temperatures, like recording the temperatures each day, but I've not been so good at keeping the stitching up. So I try to do my stitching on Tuesdays, but Tuesdays have also become like Flosstube filming days. They've become volunteer days. So didn't even get as much done as I wanted to. So here's where I was at the end of the month, at the end of February, beginning of March. And here is where I'm at now. So the top row is done. This is January to February. And then down here is what I've gotten so far of March done. So as you can tell, the temperatures have started to get warmer. So instead of the greens and the blues, you're seeing more of the yellows and the oranges. So on this, I was able to put 548 stitches in the month of March. So my goal for this piece in April is to catch up. I mean, each little day is less than 25 stitches a day. But since I tend to save it to do all on Tuesdays, I don't always get that chance. So I just need to find a way to just caught up. So we'll see how I do on that one. But that one is one of my weekly stitches. And the last piece I've worked on that I know a lot of people have been following. I'm excited about it. Several other people are excited to see the progress on it. So this is the piece that if there's only one thing I get to stitch every day, it's this piece because I really, really, really don't want to fall behind. And that is Steampunk Portal for the Heaven and Earth Design Stitch Along. So this I started on January 1st and I have been stitching on it a little bit every day because the next release was supposed to drop today. So the first row of pages was given to us. And so then the second row of pages is dropping today. Except that they were really nice to us and gave it to us on Friday. So we actually had a couple extra days to do it. So, and I was worried that I was going to fall behind. So here is where I was on Steampunk Portal at the beginning of March. And here is where I'm at now. I have finished the entire first row, with the exception of where I parked my threads because I didn't want to stop a thread. And it's a good thing I didn't, because now that I know what pages are going down, I can move these threads down. So forgive the hanging threads, but I was super proud of myself that I finished off this last little bit of this row yesterday. So when I pick this up today, I'm going to start back down here. So this is now right on schedule, and I've put in 8,187 stitches in this month on it. So far, so good. So the next row of pages was released today-ish. So we have until July 1st to get that. And then on July 1st, we'll get the next row. And then October 1st, we get the last partial row. So if I can stitch about 325 stitches a day on this every day, then I will keep up, because if I finish this piece, not only do I get all of the other stitch along patterns, I get to pick one free pattern from the Heaven and Earth website as well. So that is my motivation, because there's quite a few I have my eye on my wish list. So that is all for my whips. So as far as my stats for March, I worked on 18 projects total, had 3 starts. I'm counting one, the Hawk Run Hollow as a finish because it was a big block finish. And since I've charted each block separately into Pattern Keeper, I'll call that a finish. And my stitch total was 23,149 stitches. And I'm pretty happy with that. So that is my stitching for the month. Busy, busy, busy as always. So let me see. What else have I done? So life updates. March, I didn't really get any hiking in. Again, sad. I'm the hiking stitcher. And I was able to get 2 hikes in, actually. I was able to go out to a local state park with some friends and just wander, which was nice. And then now that spring is coming, I went up to Shenandoah to do some maintenance on my trail and had a couple of blowdowns that I had to take care of, because through hiker season is upon us here in the Shenandoahs. The first northbound hikers on the Appalachian Trail should be hitting Shenandoah National Park starting the first couple weeks of April. So I wanted to make sure that my section of the AT was as clear as it can be. So I've still got a couple more things I want to get up there and do, but the weather, unfortunately, in the winter just didn't allow me to get a lot of time out on the trail. So I'm hoping that changes. I did go out to the Cherry Blossom Festival last weekend. That was gorgeous, beautiful, crowded. Yeah, so the pictures I got were great. But I was there, I felt like, with the rest of the country, because I've been into DC many, many times. That is the busiest I think I've ever seen the city. And I've been there for protests and rallies and marathons, and it was just crazy. It was a gorgeous day. So I'll take it. Other than that, I'm still just volunteering with the food pantry. I am volunteering with the Literacy Council. I just started teaching the new semester of citizenship today. And I'm still pushing hard for the activism on the Democratic side. So I am helping to plan a rally in my small town here for April 5th. April 5th is a nationwide day of protest. So if you are so inclined, find a protest near you. There are protests happening in all 50 states. And I've even heard some rumors that there are some international ones as well. So if you are not a big fan of what's going on in our country, then by all means, find yourself a protest and speak out. So I have been doing some organizing for that. I am going to Steel City Stitchers this weekend, so I hope to see a lot of you guys there. If you're going to be there, drop a hi in the comments below, and I'll try to say hi to you when I get there. And then in April, just again, continue to try to make as much progress on all my whips as I can. Let's see. I can't think of anything else. Nope, I've talked about Woodlawn. Which was huge. Definitely check Woodlawn out. I talked about hiking. What else did I do? I read the Hunger Games trilogy for the first time ever, so there's that. Yay. it's finally time to start reading some of these dystopian novels to start getting the references I see in online. So got that done. That's it. So with that, I am going to wrap this up so I can try to go get some editing done on it before I leave. Because tomorrow I am going to be working at the Democratic office all day tomorrow in preparation for the protest, and then I have to pack for Steel City. So lots and lots of goodies there. So anyhow, please, if you have not already, please like, comment, subscribe to me here on Flosstube. I've got a lot new subscribers, so thank you. Hi. Should have said that at the beginning. Hi. I am also on Instagram at walking_in_stitches. And I am on Blue Sky. I've got 2 Blue Sky accounts. One is Pearly_hiker, and I believe that's more of my political rants when I do that. And then I'm also there under the Hiking Stitcher, and that is more of my cross-stitch related stuff. So check me out online, and until next time, never let anybody tell you what to do. Just go ahead and stitch your own stitch. Have a great day.